Welcome to another deep dive, and today we're going exploring the world of eco-conscious e-commerce.
Sounds interesting.
Now, we're going to be talking about how online businesses can design their websites not just to, showcase their products, but also kind of highlight their commitment to sustainability.
Yeah, that's a really interesting area, I think. Consumer demand for transparency and ethical business practices. It's really transforming the landscape of website design these days.
Definitely. And what we're looking at today is an article from Site Design and Now W. They're a web design company based in Australia. And they've outlined 5 key features for creating a website that resonates with eco-conscious shoppers. When you were reading through this article, what really stood out to you?
Well, the first thing that struck me was that it's not just about slapping a green label on things and calling it a day,
Right.
It's more about weaving a narrative of sustainability throughout the entire customer journey, starting right from when they hit the home page.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. The article starts off by talking about eco-certifications, those badges of honor like Fair Trade, GOTS, or the Australian Certified Organic Label.
Right, and they emphasize that those certifications really act as trust signals, particularly when they're locally relevant,
Yep.
For example, Australian shoppers are more likely to trust a product with that ACO label.
Makes sense, yeah. It's like saying, hey, we understand and align with the values of this market. But is simply displaying certifications enough? Or do companies need to go further in showcasing their commitment?
That's a great question, and the article touches on that a little bit by discussing the importance of detailed product listings. Think about it. Wouldn't you want to know if a product is made from recycled materials or if its manufacturing process is zero waste?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if I'm trying to make eco-conscious purchases.
Exactly. So instead of just listing those basic product features, companies should highlight sustainability aspects. So answer those key questions like, does this product help reduce my carbon footprint?
Okay.
Or was it ethically sourced?
I like that. It gives consumers the information they need to make informed choices.
Yeah.
Aligning their purchases with their values.
Exactly. And it goes beyond simply stating facts. It's about telling a story about the product's journey from sourcing to production and showcasing how sustainability is integrated in every step.
Okay, so we've got certifications, we've got detailed product listings. What's the next layer of building trust and demonstrating impact?
Impact reports. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Think of them as mini sustainability audits, providing tangible evidence of a company's environmental and social impact.
So instead of just saying, we're sustainable, they can actually back it up with data.
Exactly. They can share stats on energy savings, waste reduction, ethical sourcing practices, or even community projects that they support. That kind of concrete evidence that speaks volumes compared to just vague claims.
I see what you mean. It's like showing, not just telling, your commitment to sustainability. Do you have any examples of companies that are doing these impact reports well? I'd love to get a sense of what that looks like in practice.
Absolutely. A great example is Patagonia. They've been pioneers in this area, publishing detailed reports on their environmental footprint and social responsibility initiatives for years. They've even gone a step further by creating interactive tools that allow customers to explore their supply chain and learn about the impact of their purchases.
That's incredible. It really shows they're walking the walk, not just talking the talk. So for companies that are wanting to implement this, what kind of data really resonates the most with consumers?
Well, I think it depends on the audience and the product, right? But generally speaking, people are interested in seeing those quantifiable results. Things like the percentage of recycled materials used, the amount of water or energy saved, or the number of trees planted.
Right. Information that's easy to understand and relate to. So moving on, what about customer reviews?
Yeah.
How do those play a role in this whole eco-conscious e-commerce landscape?
Customer reviews are incredibly powerful, particularly for eco-friendly products. People want to hear from others who've actually experienced the benefits firsthand. Imagine reading a review where someone raves about the biodegradable packaging or the long-lasting quality of a sustainably made product.
Right. It adds a layer of authenticity and social proof. It's like, okay, this company is legit. They're not just greenwashing.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just the product itself, too. Reviews can also highlight a company's customer service, their shipping practices, or even their overall commitment to sustainability.
So it's about painting a holistic picture of the brand experience.
Precisely. And it's a really powerful way to build trust and encourage others to make those conscious choices.
So it seems like customer reviews can really make or break a brand, especially when it comes to sustainability.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But what about content creation. The article also talks about having a blog.
Right, a blog. Yeah, a blog can be a fantastic platform, I think, for sharing tips and tricks like DIY eco projects and insights into green living.
Yeah, it's like going beyond just selling products and really building a community around those shared values.
Exactly. It helps position the brand as, a thought leader when it comes to sustainability.
And the article specifically suggests highlighting local stories and innovations.
Yeah, I think that's a smart strategy because it resonates with those consumers who are looking to make a difference in their own communities.
Right. It brings those global sustainability goals down to a personal level, showing how individuals can contribute to a larger movement.
Exactly. And it provides that sense of connection and shared purpose, which is super engaging.
So as you're browsing these websites, what does all this mean for you? It seems like building a truly eco-friendly website goes way beyond just how it looks.
Absolutely. It's about transparency, engaging content, and showcasing, a genuine commitment to sustainability across that whole user experience.
Yeah, consumers are becoming more discerning, and they want to support businesses that align with their values.
They're not satisfied with those empty claims anymore. They want to see proof, and they want to be actively involved in the journey towards a more sustainable future.
It's like a shift in power dynamics, in a way.
Yeah.
Consumers are demanding more from businesses, and businesses really need to step up and deliver.
Transparency is no longer optional. It's a necessity.
So do you think this trend towards transparency and impact reporting, do you think it could go beyond just those eco-friendly products? Could we see it in other industries as well?
That's an interesting question. I think there's definitely potential for it to expand. Yeah. Consumers are becoming more aware of the impact of their purchases across all industries these days.
So what industries come to mind? What industries do you think are really ready for this kind of evolution?
Well, the fashion industry immediately comes to mind. Consumers are increasingly concerned about ethical sourcing and fair labor practices and the environmental impact of fast fashion.
That's a really good point. What about the food industry? I feel like with growing concerns about food waste and GMOs and the treatment of animals, there's a huge demand for transparency in that sector.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine, being able to trace your food from farm to table, knowing exactly where it came from and how it was produced. That level of transparency could revolutionize the way we think about food.
That's exciting to think about. It really could be a game changer for businesses and consumers alike. But are there any potential downsides to this, to this increased transparency?
That's a really good point. I mean, while transparency is generally seen as a good thing, there could be some unintended consequences. For example, some companies might feel pressured to disclose information that they're not ready to share, or information that could be, misinterpreted by the public.
And I guess it could also lead to information overload for consumers. If every company is bombarding them with data and reports, it might become really difficult to sift through it all and actually make informed choices.
You're right. It's a delicate balance. Companies need to find ways to communicate their sustainability efforts in a clear, concise, and engaging way without overwhelming consumers.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that transparency is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time event. Companies need to be continuously evaluating their practices and making improvements.
Yeah.
And then communicating those changes to their customers.
Exactly. It's about building trust and fostering that sense of partnership between businesses and consumers.
So for those listening who are involved in e-commerce, or even just interested in sustainability, what's like one key takeaway that they should be thinking about?
I would say that transparency is no longer optional. It's essential for building a successful and sustainable business in today's market. Consumers are demanding it, and those companies that embrace it will ultimately thrive.
So it sounds like we're moving towards a future where values-aligned shopping is becoming more and more the norm, and businesses are being held accountable, for their impact.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like we were saying, it all starts with that transparency. When companies are really open about sharing their practices and the data, that really empowers those consumers to make informed choices.
Yeah, transparency really does seem to be like the foundation of everything that we've been talking about today. But it's not just about checking boxes, right?
Oh, definitely not.
It's about that genuine commitment and that continuous improvement.
You hit the nail on the head. It really is a journey, not a destination. Companies need to be constantly evaluating and, making improvements to their practices, setting ambitious goals, and just being really open about their successes, but also the challenges that they face along the way.
And being prepared to adapt and evolve as those consumer expectations and industry standards change.
Exactly, because that landscape of sustainability is constantly evolving, and businesses need to stay ahead of the curve.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into eco-conscious e-commerce, what's the most important message you want to leave our listeners with?
I would say this. Don't underestimate the power of your purchasing decisions. Every time you buy something, you're kind of casting a vote for the kind of world that you want to live in. So choose wisely and support those businesses that are truly committed to sustainability.
That's such a powerful thought. As consumers, we really do hold a lot of power to drive change through the choices that we make every single day. And for those on the business side, embracing transparency and sustainability, it isn't just good for the planet, right? It's also good for business.
Absolutely. It's a win-win.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into this really fascinating world of eco-conscious e-commerce. We hope you learned something new today and maybe even feel a little inspired to make some changes, whether in your own shopping habits or your business practices.
Yeah, it's been great exploring this with you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep making a difference.